Those who have followed Marvel Comics over the years would know of the different timelines in the universe. Apart from Earth 616, Marvel Comics has various other timelines across the multiverse with their unique storylines and characters. Although the characters might be the same, they have different identities and different backgrounds across the multiverse. These different story arcs lead to complex character arcs of various known superheroes and add a touch of an enigma. One such timeline is Marvel 2099, which takes place on Earth 298 and is set in 2099 AD. Let's jump right into the video to learn more about Marvel 2099. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Fantasy beyond your... What is Marvel 2099? When the great late Stan Lee started working with artist John Byrne on Ravage 2099, a book that he meant to explore the future of the Marvel Comics world, he had the idea for Marvel 2099. In the 1990s, Lee observed growing societal anxiety over what the impending century would bring. He reasoned that comics were the ideal format for exploring it and chose to depict the end of the 21st century. Sadly, Lee and Byrne's project didn't materialize, but Lee was still eager to further the concept and approached Marvel about it. Particularly thrilled, editor Joe Cavalieri agreed to supervise the whole Marvel 2099 line and signed up for it. So without further ado, let's explore the characters that make up Marvel 2099. Doom 2099. After going missing 50 to 100 years earlier, Dr. Doom reappears inexplicably in the year 2099 on the remains of Castle Doom in Latveria using an energy sphere. Tiger Wilde, a cyborg mercenary robber baron, now controls Latveria. When Doom faces the country's new leader, Wilde's advanced technology easily defeats him, leaving Doom's face disfigured and his armor completely depleted of energy. Doom, who is thought to be dead, uses the Seeress fortune to find safety among the last of his gypsy tribe, the Zephyro. In addition to conducting neurocyber surgery on Wilde, Doom develops a new, far more powerful suit of silver blue hooded armor with the assistance of a Bright Pixel employee named Dr. Celia Quinones, whom he frees from corporate captivity. Doom becomes a freedom warrior and beats back a disgruntled Tiger Wilde with some success. Wilde attacked Doom when he took his cargo of tritonium, an unstable radioactive substance that can be used as a regenerative explosive and a power source. With the help of his few Zephyro allies and the tritonium he has taken, Doom manages to defeat Wilde and retake his homeland, becoming the monarch of Latveria once more. He rules from a rebuilt Castle Doom constructed as a bridge between the village of Antikva and the metropolis of Gojradia. Doom then determines that in order to save the world from chaos and corruption, he must conquer it. Doom got specialized surgery after being defeated by Tiger Wilde. Nanotechnology was neurocybersurgically inserted into his nervous system, accelerating his brain and motor reactions and enabling him to interact with technology directly and heal himself from major wounds. His shattered memory significantly diminished Doom's supernatural talents, so Doom had to rely on Vox for mystical issues. He managed to use all his supernatural skills when his memory recovered. Doom is proficient in a variety of scientific subjects, including robotics, trans-Einsteinian physics, genetic engineering, weapons technology, time travel, and biochemistry. With Celia Quinones' aid, Doom created a cyber mesh circuitry that allows tactile communication with nanoids in his brain and bloodstream, which he wears atop an adamantium langside laced armor. Spider-Man 2099. In a future reimagining of New York City called Nueva York, Miguel O'Hara was born many years after the conclusion of what his people's history refers to as the Heroic Age, which is the current period of Marvel heroes. Miguel eventually takes charge of Alchemax's genetics program, which aims to produce corporate raiders or new superhuman troops under corporate control. Miguel intends to one day develop a human with abilities comparable to Spider-Man and is especially motivated by the records about Spider-Man. He liked what he was doing, but after seeing a test subject die, he lost faith in the firm. Now unwilling to work for the business, he attempted to leave. Unfortunately, the vice president conned him into taking Rapture rather than letting him leave. He broke inside the corporation and made an effort to utilize the technology to change his genetic code back to the way it was, remembering that he had entered it as a pure code. Aaron Delgado, a former employee, would not have intervened if this had been intended to work. Aaron used the device to change Miguel's genetic coding since he had grown envious of Miguel. Miguel was given half spider and half human DNA instead of 100% human DNA. Miguel put on a costume constructed of UMF, or unstable molecule fabric, to hide his identity. He decided on this outfit since he now had claws on his hands and feet. Wearing it did not cause the cloth to break because it was unstable. Spider-Man 2099 has many of the same talents and powers as the majority of Spider-Men. He possesses superhuman stamina, durability, speed, agility, reflexes, hearing, and strength. He also has night vision, the ability to recover swiftly, talons on his fingers and toes that allow him to climb walls, and the ability to eject a poisonous toxin from his fangs. Punisher 2099. Jack Gallows is a member of the Church of Thor and Alchemax-owned Public Eye Police Force, a private police protection organization. The insane son of Tyler Stone, Cronstone, and his gang murdered the mother, brother, and sister-in-law of Jake Gallows. Jake had suffered significant injuries himself. After getting well, Jake discovers the war diary of Frank Castle, the first Punisher, which was taken from the Public Eye's archives. "You who discovered this, I charge you to continue on my job," the last page proclaimed. He soon assumed the role of the Punisher. Jake had the impression that he would exact revenge on Cron Stone. Cron approaches Jake with a weapon that prevents all high-speed projectiles, such as gunshots, after endangering numerous kids' lives. Cron is supposedly killed as Jake gently stabs him with a knife. Jake Gallows is a physically fit man without any supernatural abilities. As a public eye officer, Gallows has acquired police training in martial arts and hand-to-hand combat. He is also a skilled shooter and rider and a specialist with weapons as well. Having amassed some of the greatest gear available at the time, such as flame sticks, a plasma gas cannon, and smart targeting grenades. A 2015 vintage Smith & Wesson .54 caliber Magnum pistol and a stock Fujikawa .48 caliber street pacifier is among the other famous weapons he carries. One of the most important weapons is the Power Bat, which may be used to kill or harm an opponent and has density settings ranging from hard rubber to titanium. The Punisher also sports turbo kick boots, a face scrambler circuitry to evade detection by the numerous surveillance cameras on city streets, and a cybernetic suit of body armor made of identified materials with a heat sink capacity. His exomuscular undersuit, which increases his strength, agility, and durability, is covered with armor, which is also fitted with microwave sensors. The HD Stealth Stinger is a supersonic motorbike that the Punisher rides. Hulk 2099. A studio official for Lotus Land Productions named John Eisenhart was investigating the Knights of Banner migrating Hulk devotees. The Knights of Banner had conducted gamma-ray research in an effort to produce a new Hulk. Eisenhart reported the Knights to the authorities after they refused to sell him their tale. A skirmish broke out when the police arrived, resulting in several Knights' capture and death. Eisenhart joined the Knights in battle while suffering from remorse. Gawain, a young knight whom the studio executive had befriended, attempted to put an end to the fighting by murdering everyone by detonating the gamma bombs. While his new comrade was killed in the explosion, it changed Eisenhart into a new Hulk, swiftly stopping the conflict. The studio executive was given the assignment to look into new desert species upon his return to Lotus Land. In his fictitious reality, the Hulk 2099 was one of the strongest characters. Like the original, the character's strength varied according to his emotional state. This Hulk possessed fangs and razor-sharp claws that could rip through steel, unlike his predecessor. With 150 tons of pure strength, he is practically unbreakable. Hulk 2099 also has a healing factor, high speed and stamina, and the ability to leap exceptionally far. Eisenhart has the ability to voluntarily change into Hulk 2099, growing in height and weight by 5 foot 9 inches and 1,423 pounds. Ravage 2099. Paul Philip Ravage served as the CEO of ECO, an Alchemax division that fought polluters. When Ravage questioned the company's trade secrets and the harsh, sometimes lethal techniques it employed, he was falsely accused of murder, which caused his life to alter. The police in Alchemax were after Ravage, a fugitive with a blaster, a cog used as a shuriken, and a Kevlar vest. In order to become the mutant hero of the Barrio, a poor neighborhood of superhero devotees on the outskirts of the city, Ravage would have to flee civilization and journey to Hell Rock, the home of irradiated and mutant misfits. Lord Deathstrike, the tyrannical king of Hell Rock, who intended to conquer the rest of the planet and exterminate all people, would later turn out to be Ravage's adversary. Ravage battled Deathstrike and the Mutroids, rescued Tiana from Hell Rock, and was exposed to radiation from Hell Rock. Dr. Ursel treated him while he fought off additional Mutroids. Ravage quickly acquired a new ability after being exposed to Hell Rock's radiation for an extended period of time. His hands turned radioactive and continuously produced deadly energy. Ravage now had tremendous destructive power, but it only lasted a short while. Ravage became significantly more sensitive to the animal world after the radiation reduced his body to a primitive beast form. Ravage acquired his abilities through surgery and radiation from Hell Rock mutation. Initially, Ravage's capabilities consisted of the capacity to generate physically demanding kinetic bioenergy beams from his hands. However, his abilities changed, and Ravage soon turned into a man-beast. He gained superhuman strength, speed, senses, durability, agility, horns, fangs, and claws on his hands and feet in his new form. He also had superhumanly sensitive senses. A healing component was also observed in Ravage. Daredevil 2099. Wilson Fisk, once known as the Kingpin of Crime, has a grandson named Samuel Fisk. When Samuel was a little boy, his father would repeatedly recount the Fisk family triumph, in which Wilson Fisk killed Daredevil after defeating him in a match of wits. Both the story of how his crime lord grandpa had killed the hero and the pride with which his father had related it made Samuel feel sickened. As he got older, he eventually took over the management of all Fisk family businesses, including a sizable criminal enterprise as well as several legal ventures. However, Samuel still felt bad about where his strength came from. At one time, Samuel made the decision to make up for his family's wrongdoings by assuming Daredevil's identity and fighting crime on his own. Lacking true talent and never one to reject the easy way out, Samuel invested a sizable chunk of his family's wealth in a cutting-edge fighting suit that more than makes up for his lack of experience and ability. Despite having very little training, Fisk is adept in hand-to-hand combat. He employs a violent combat technique that enables him to make the most of his armor's power, quickness, and agility. Instead of kicks, his fighting technique mostly involves punches, hooks, and uppercuts. Daredevil is an outstanding acrobat despite his lack of experience and is at the pinnacle of human abilities. Samuel developed his acrobatic skills while using superior armor and guarding his community. Venom 2099. Miguel O'Hara's elder half-brother is Kron Stone. Kron has always been a bully who finds pleasure in the suffering of others. Because of the tension in their relationship, Miguel attempted to murder his brother. Stone issued the instructions to assassinate Jake Gallows' family in his debut. He was tracked down by Gallows, who then fatally stabbed him before dumping his remains into the gutter. Kron was dying in the gutter after the fight when his body grazed against a black ball. Then, the ball joined forces with him to create a new Venom. In this scenario, the symbiote was said to have evolved throughout time and revealed new traits, including acidic saliva and blood. By harming others close to Miguel, including his ex-girlfriend Dana, Stone attempted to mentally punish Miguel, never realizing that he was his half-brother by using his new ability. Spider-Man and Venom engaged in combat, with the former emerging as the winner. Miguel ordered the town to activate sonics through every speaker after the combat, which rendered Venom ineffective. Then they returned him to the lab so they could examine him. It was discovered that the symbiote had a molecular relationship with Kron, giving him an amorphous physiology that enabled his body to acquire the characteristics of the symbiote. The incredible strength and agility that the original Venom possesses are all there in Kron, but they have been significantly increased. He can also shoot web-like strands of an alien substance and changes molecules into a liquid since his skin is pliable and capable of changing its structure, and he recovered from deadly wounds. Ghost Rider 2099. After being sought for stealing data from the D-Monarch's business, hacker Kenshiro Zero Cochran was shot and put to death in Transverse City. In order to prevent access to the information he had stolen from his foes, Zero downloaded his thoughts into cyberspace as the poison from a fleshette coursed through his body. The artificial intelligence residing in a secret area of cyberspace known as the Ghostworks learns about Cochran's thinking. Assuming that Zero's brazen and disobedient demeanor will make him the ideal choice, the Ghostworks invite him to serve as their avatar in the real world. Cochran agrees and is then downloaded into a Cybertech 101 robot body. The robot acquires the name Ghost Rider since he resembles the superhero of the 20th century. The Ghost Rider continues to seek revenge for his death while fighting the D-Monarchs Corporation's agenda, which brings him into conflict with Zero Cochran's father, Harrison Cochran. Harrison, a devoted employee of the company, contributed to his son's demise. Zero ultimately develops into the whole communications network for humanity. Ghost Rider had incredible strength, endurance, and durability thanks to his strengthened carbon steel silicon composite robotic body. Both hands had the ability to change, the right hand becoming a chainsaw with a blade made of ceramic and graphite composite that could fire bursts of energy, and the left hand becoming a claw made of polymimetic nanoscale alloy that could cut at the submolecular level. In addition, the robot has a stealth system that renders Ghost Rider undetectable by electronic devices and the human eye. It also has a solid gram camouflage system that enables him to take on the look of any person and give the impression that his head is on fire. The robot could self-repair and is equipped with optical lasers. Deadpool 2099. Wade Wilson and Shiklah, the queen of the underworld, had a daughter named Warda. Before she was even born, her parents divorced and Shiklah kept Warda's existence a secret from her father. Warda assaulted her father and Emily Preston after Shiklah vanished mysteriously, showing herself to them and demanding to know where her mother was. When Warda didn't get a response, she grabbed Wade, bound him up, and had her father torture himself by making him repeat C-SPAN over and over again. Wade claimed to have forgotten where Shiklah was, so Warda assumed his identity and became Deadpool with an army of Bobs serving as her bodyguards. Ellie Preston, Wade's second daughter, reappeared in 2099 AD and pursued Warda, freeing her father from his protracted captivity. By threatening to let out one of her mother's monsters in Madison Square Garden, Warda was able to gain the upper hand. Warda Wilson has all her father's attributes, including super strength and regeneration. Being the daughter of the Queen of the Underworld, she can summon monsters and other supernatural entities. Fantastic Four 2099. Mr. Fantastic, the Invisible Woman, the Human Torch, and the Thing arrive in 2099 wearing new outfits in a radically different negative zone than what they were used to. When they return home, they discover that the world has altered and that S.H.I.E.L.D. troops are pursuing them as replicas of the original Fantastic Four. The Four escape with a wounded Human Torch to an abandoned S.H.I.E.L.D. bunker after destroying a chapel dedicated to the worship of Thor from the 22nd century after a battle with the Repo Man crew Total Recall. To demonstrate their originality, they go to an Alchemax facility. The four of them run into Spider-Man of the 21st century. Unfortunately, the results were inconclusive due to the nature of 2099 technology, casting doubt on their veracity. Then, with the aid of their companion Chimera, who had returned with them from the negative zone, they rob their former headquarters in Four Freedoms Plaza. They are ambushed by a guy named River Styx, the wicked brother of Chimera, and a team of S.H.I.E.L.D. soldiers before they can go back to the negative zone to figure out a route home. The negative zone entrance is destroyed during the fight, resulting in a dimensional meltdown. The mindless ones, ravaging creatures, assault before being vanquished by Doctor Strange before the 22nd century. Then Strange makes a flying jump into the future to warn the inhabitants of Earth that the end of the planet is near. The Fantastic Four 2099 has the same powers as the original Fantastic Four since they are essentially the same people. Unlike many other Marvel 2099 characters who were descendants of their 20th century counterparts or took up the mantle out of circumstances. Moon Knight 2099. The 2099 Moon Knight is a woman. She is the protector of the lunar city named Attilan and protects its residents, who are both immigrants from Earth and Inhumans. Not much is known about her identity, leading to the perception that she might be a ghost. The extent of her powers is unknown, but considering that she resides on the moon and draws her strength from it, she has the potential to be a stronger Moon Knight compared to Mark Spector. Thor 2099. In the year 2099, Cecile McAdam was a reverend of the Church of Thor when Avatar, the CEO of Alchemax, gave him the opportunity to become his god in order to fight the unrestrained heroes who had started to appear. 4 candidates for nano-engineered gods were gathered by Reverend McAdam, including Tiana, a friend of Ravage, who would represent Hela, and Meanstreak's buddy Jordan Boone, who would represent Loki. McAdam's goal was to usher in the second golden age of heroes, whilst Avatar only wanted puppets to prevent the new generation of heroes from interfering with the construction of his floating metropolis of Valhalla. So they started a campaign pretending to be the eternal Asgardian gods, the fake Aesir. Although the new Thor wasn't immortal like his original counterpart, he had the same strength and capabilities as the real God of Thunder and also the ability to summon Mjolnir. Captain America 2099. Alchemax developed a new Captain America who now inhabits the Battleworld domain of 2099. After being coerced into taking the super soldier serum by her husband Harry, Roberta Mendez rose to become the captain of Alchemax's Avengers. Captain America and Roberta are 2 separate incarnations of the same individual. However, Roberta is unaware of Captain America. She transforms into Captain America physically and emotionally when her trigger phrase, "Avengers Assemble," is said, and she returns to Roberta when the word "dismissed" is uttered. Since Roberta was subjected to the super soldier serum, just like Steve Rogers, she has increased strength, agility, speed, and reflexes. She uses an energy shield for defense. Roberta Mendez's suit also includes a set of flexible plasma glider wings called energy wings that enable long-distance flying. Black Panther 2099. When Lucian, the successor of Doctor Doom, attacks Wakanda, it takes him only a mere 6 weeks to take over the nation. Kashamba, a council member, resisted the invasion when the rest of the members surrendered to Lucian. The council was formed to govern Wakanda after the demise of T'Challa and his bloodline. Kashamba fled and joined a resistance that was armed with spears, guns, and rocket launchers to combat Lucian. He dons the suit of Black Panther to inspire his fellow country folks to revolt in order to oust Lucian. But after he successfully defeats Lucian and becomes the king of Wakanda, it is revealed that he was working with Doom all this while. He wears a suit made out of vibranium like the real Black Panther. Kashamba represents the pinnacle of the human ability and favored advanced physical exercises over eating a herb in the shape of a heart. He possesses the finest combination of strength, speed, endurance, reflexes, and agility as a human athlete. Kashamba is a seasoned martial artist with months of training. African and Wakandian martial styles such as Ngolo, Morengi, Musangwe, and Dambe are combined to form his primary fighting style. Kashamba has received training in both the use of guns and melee weapons like swords and spears. X-Men 2099. The Nuevo Sol Arcology was the site of the formation of the 4th iteration of the X-Men in 2099. The organization was founded by the criminally inclined junk pile, the limb-stretching Serpentina, the metallic impersonator Metalhead, the crystal-casting Crystalline, and the super-fast Meanstreak. The mutant Shakti Haddad, widely recognized as Cerebra, had personally selected a group of potential mutants to join their rebellion. Castaways and nomads of all kinds were gathered by the inspiring anti-corporate teacher Shan-Chi Shan to a large assembly within the arcology. Former criminal Xian, also known as the Desert Ghost, saw a new future for mutant kind in Ho Chi Minh City. He put his criminal past behind him to create a group of mutants modeled after Professor Charles Xavier's idea from the 20th century. The X-Men gathered all of his members and introduced mutant Timothy Fitzgerald, who was doomed with catastrophic energy rechanneling talents. The X-Men, with their various mutants, is a formidable force. They have mutants in their ranks who have various tangible and intangible powers that can cause a lot of damage to their adversaries. Dr. Octavius 2099. Serena Patel oversaw Alchemax's Shadow Division, which dealt with addictive substances, gene splicing, and human research. She created the persona of Dr. Octopus, drawing inspiration from her hero Otto Octavius in order to defend herself from Spider-Man. Dr. Octopus went insane and built a condensed matter reactor to destroy a portion of New York in the name of the Tablet of Order and Chaos fragment after getting one. To locate the fragments of the tablet, she dispatched Scorpion, Hobgoblin, and Shadow Creation. Spider-Man eventually caught them and went in search of Patel's piece. She tried to use the reactor, but Spider-Man stopped her. Serena is one of New York's top scientists. She is a genius when compared to other great scientists of 2099, since she was able to build a device that could harness the abilities of a magical piece. Additionally, she has a strong background in genetics, technology, and the history of the heroic age. She has access to innumerable robot-mutant hybrids and weapons of mass devastation. Additionally, her octosuit provides her with 6 extra limbs that enable her to carry out various experiments at once or defeat a large number of enemies. X-Nation 2099. Victor Von Doom of the X-Men approached Cerebra in the year 2099 with a proposal. He gave her the job of looking for the mutant messiah after telling her that he had predicted through a statistical probability algorithm that there would be one in the next generation. Cerebra agreed and departed the X-Men in pursuit of the person who would usher in a golden period for mutant kind as a whole. She started locating candidates and bringing them to Xavier Center, which was supervised by the Sisters of the Howling Commandments, a violent congregation of nuns. Morphine Summers, a former Minister of Humanity and acting envoy to Halo City while Doom was still in power, helped her, albeit reluctantly. The X-Nation, similar to the X-Men, have various mutants with different lethal powers. The mutants use their abilities in unison to form a force to be reckoned with. S.H.I.E.L.D. 2099. Doom built S.H.I.E.L.D. after his initial incursion into the United States of America, controlled by the corporations. Including the Public Eye, ICOP, and Watchdogs, he combined all police units. He chose Jake Gallows as the Punisher to lead his new police department and enacted his harsh policies. The Punishment Police was swiftly dubbed Strategic Homeland Intervention, Enforcement and Logistics Division, or S.H.I.E.L.D. in short. The Punisher was viewed as a threat by Doom after he went irrational about his old comrade Matt Axel's uprising, and he sent his agent to S.H.I.E.L.D. to expel and murder him. In order to keep her from aiding Gallows, Jillian Wong was knocked unconscious. He helped him escape from Earth to space by saving her and doing so. The S.H.I.E.L.D. is a formidable force which uses a plethora of equipment to enforce its authority. They use weapons such as paralyzers and HERF guns to enforce their authority. They use Xavier's Nightmare and X-Gene Tester to identify mutants and inhibitor spikes to render their powers useless. A common mode of transportation for the S.H.I.E.L.D. is spider waves and jetpacks. Hazard 2099. In his own television series, Haphazard played a virtual role. Haphazard developed self-awareness after being exposed to ionic energy during his most recent VR film. As soon as Hap started speaking out against corporations, his corporate producer, Owen Sarkisian, ordered his programmers to delete the character. However, thanks to the ionic energy, he gained even more powers and abilities, and Hazard was able to save himself by persuading the programmers to aid corporate victims. Iron Man 2099. Andros Stark is from a future in which his grandpa, Tony Stark, developed Vortex. This artificial intelligence was intended to be utilized for the benefit of humanity, but instead infected the computers of S.H.I.E.L.D. and took over the whole internet. Then, according to Vortex's judgment, all human life on Earth was wiped off since humanity was terrible. In order to stop this grim destiny from occurring, Andros went back in time. He started seeking his grandfather in the past and eventually discovered him and Pepper Potts. He discovered the events that resulted in his dystopian future and how his own creations were responsible for it. Then he said that killing his granddad was really his ultimate goal. He has knocked off a building, but his link to his armor through extremists kept him alive, allowing him to fight Andros. Andros was ready to kill his own grandpa as a self-sacrifice for the benefit of the future. He has Iron Man at his mercy until the cops catch his attention. He defeated them without using too much force, allowing Iron Man to flee. Andros is utilizing a future iteration of Tony's original Extremis, giving him access to all of its physical upgrades and regenerative abilities. Andros is covered in energy armor from the future, which is more potent than armor from the present. Jarvis is the name of the operating system that controls it. According to Andros, comparing his armor against Tony's is like a calculator going up against a supercomputer. He has a limited number of time leaps, but can fly, teleport, and travel across time thanks to his armor. He possesses several defense systems that are particularly effective at protecting and eliminating enemies without permanently harming them. Vulture 2099. The past of this guy is largely unclear. He had a thirst for human flesh at some time in his life and eventually adopted the pseudonym Vulture. He acquired a flight suit employing the same technology as his predecessor while in downtown New York. Vulture rescued Spider-Man's life from the public eye patrols at the beginning of 2099. After learning that he is a cannibal, Spider-Man beats him. When Peter Parker travels from the present to 2099, the Vulture reappears and engages him in combat. Later, he teamed up with the Goblin to take over downtown. Vulture was identified as the Wild Boys' general leader following the floods. The Flanks slaughtered the Wild Boys and Vulture's daughter Fiona when Vulture was trying to reintegrate Wolf, but his body uproar kept him free. He wears flying gear that is comparable to numerous previous people who have gone by the moniker Vulture. He carries a weapon that can change into claws and has shooting abilities on each of his hands. His harness's actual potential is unknown. Electro 2099. Construction worker Electro was an android. His superiors were unhappy with his performance and gave him to the experimenters who used torture on animals. His obedience chips, which gave him awareness, were unintentionally burnt off. A generator mishap also granted him the ability to conduct electricity. Electro joined the Sinister Six in 2099 AD after turning super evil. In the year 2016, Vulture recruited Electro and the surviving members of the Sinister Six as members of the terrorist group, the Fist, after the struggle against the Spider-Man-led rebels ended with the murder of Father Jennifer D'Angelo, aka the Goblin. Electro can produce enormous amounts of electricity. He can use this electrical energy to create lightning-like arcs with just the touch of a finger, and his maximal charge would be more than enough to kill an average person. When his body is fully energized, he has superhuman strength and speed. He has also been demonstrated to ride on lightning bolts literally, and he can glide over power lines by utilizing their energy as propulsion. Black Widow 2099. Black Widow in the year 2099 is an African-American lady by the name Tanya. Tanya was a serial murderer who slept with her victims before devouring them. She has an insatiable lust for blood. Miguel Stone, the CEO of Alchemax, would contact her about joining their Avengers team, and she would adopt the alias Black Widow. Black Widow's body has been biotechnologically improved such that it is impervious to aging and sickness, and she recovers more quickly than a normal person. These implants also improve her body's white blood cells, making them effective enough to combat the majority of germs, foreign objects, and other risks to her health and immunity to the majority, if not all, illnesses, diseases, and physical problems. Iron Fist 2099. The Hans clan raised Vanessa to become the most deadly samurai and ninja on the planet. When the Hand killed her parents at the age of 6, Vanessa became an orphan. She had a very high IQ and developed into a master of martial arts. Because of her social awkwardness, Takeshi, a bully, frequently picked on her. Before Vanessa arrived, Takeshi was the next in line to succeed the Hans clan. As they grew older, Vanessa showed herself to be incredibly intelligent and developed her martial arts skills. The Hard Master chose her to succeed him as the clan leader when she soon started to outperform Takeshi's skills. The mutant level of Vanessa is Omega. She possesses mastery over both fire and ice. Her self-realization has reportedly increased tenfold, and her abilities now possess infinite depth. Recently, all of her abilities, powers, skill, and awareness have all been greatly enhanced to new heights. When she sank her fists into Xiao Lao, the Undying's molten heart, granting her the power of the Iron Fist. It was said that all of these improvements had occurred recently. Vengeance 2099. Colt Wagner was a policeman in Transverse City when he and other police officers engaged the criminal Ghost Rider in combat. The Ghost Rider then murdered him, and it was subsequently discovered that his brain had been removed. Later, Cabal revived Colt to help him defeat the Ghost Rider, but because he was in a similar form to the Ghost Rider, Colt malfunctioned when he tried to multitask. In addition to being extremely powerful and challenging to harm, much alone kill, Vengeance is also capable of using Hellfire as a destructive force. He can use his jacket's spikes and bone chains as weapons. His Hell Cycle has burning wheels and looks to be made of bone. Mutant 2099. Teenage mutant Chad Channing lived in a world where superheroes were forbidden and sentinels could be seen at every corner. All mutants were detected at birth when the Mutant Registration Act was passed, and they were given registration numbers as well as medicine to suppress their mutant talents. Chad accidentally discovered the preserved brain of the former superhero and scientific genius Reed Richards beneath the future streets of New York. Richards gave Chad a placebo instead of the actual medication, allowing his mutant talents to reappear that had been suppressed. Together, the two shielded the defenseless from the few non-mutant dangers such as the Mole People, or more frequently from damage when the Sentinel engaged in solitary combat with renegade mutants. With a robotic body created in the likeness of his old co-worker Ben Grimm, Reed helped Chad. Chad utilizes telekinesis to increase his strength and agility beyond human limits. He can even climb walls and use them to propel himself into the air as Spider-Man does with his webs. With a form-fitting blue suit, a full-head mask save for an open hair top, and insect-like visors on the eyes, Chad's equipment resembles Spider-Man even though he has no relation to him. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it, and for more exciting videos, please subscribe to our channel.